Thank you so much, Natalie. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to share my story with you today. So in my talk today, I wish to show you how to restore your self-worth through rediscovering your identity and your purpose. Allow me to tell you my story of what challenged my self-worth and how I regained it. It was a seemingly normal Sunday morning, the 22nd of July in 2018. I was 39 weeks pregnant with my princess, Boo Boo. My husband and I went to church as usual. Boo Boo loved attending church with mommy and daddy. She would move around and she would kick during the service, especially during prayer. The Sunday was different though. The service ended with me not feeling any movement. We went to the hospital after church just as a precaution. I wasn't worried though, because we had had a checkup 3 days prior, and my doctor had assured me that everything was normal. When we left his room, he had even joked to say that he might see us before our scheduled weekly appointment, as Boo Boo would probably have arrived before then. We got to the hospital. We went to the maternity ward and told the nurses why we were there. One of the nurses took me to a room and they used a Doppler to see what was going on. They couldn't find a heartbeat, probably because of her position, they said. They arranged for a doctor to come to do a proper scan. While waiting for the doctor, my husband and I chatted away and we laughed as he was cracking his usual jokes. Eventually, the doctor came. He did the scan and he said the dreaded words, "There is no heartbeat. I am sorry." A seemingly normal Sunday turned into a day that would change my life forever. On Monday, the 23rd of July, 2018, Boo Boo was born with her eyes closed, no smile, no voice, and no movement. And that was it. I had lost my baby at 39 weeks. I had walked into the hospital as a hopeful mother carrying a baby. I went out empty, not just my womb, but also my hands and my soul. On the day I was supposed to welcome Boo Boo home, I stood before her grave. Her body was in a tiny white casket, and I said my final goodbye. And this was by no means the end of my sufferings due to loss. I've lost 3 other pregnancies, all in the first trimesters. I have always wanted a family of my own. I grew up in a big family of 7 with my parents and 2 sisters and 2 brothers. I was excited when I got married in 2015. I would finally have the big family I've always wanted. Little did I know how challenging realizing this dream would become. Thoughts and feelings of being inadequate consumed me for a season. I'm failing at what seemingly comes natural to most women. I'm not worthy of being my husband's wife. I am failing our families. Am I still a woman? Am I enough? My self-worth was challenged. I began to devalue myself because of my perceived failure. For me, it was fertility challenges. It could be anything else for you. Something that makes you doubt if you are worth it. Something that makes you doubt your worth. It could be a challenge. It could be a loss. It could be a perceived failure. maybe rejection. I don't know what it is, but what I do know is that there is nothing that is wrong with you. You are worthy, you are enough. And whatever that challenge is, you should not be deriving your worth from it. Let me share with you 2 questions that brought about a turning point. 2 questions that were a defining moment for me. The first question was, why is it so easy for you to be so unkind to yourself, Kelezo? And the second question was, are you going to choose to live, or are you just going to continue living? What do I mean by these questions? Let me go back to the first one. If a friend who told you that they felt ashamed and worthless because of their fertility challenges came to you and said, I'm worthless, would you say to them, yeah, right, you are worthless? Definitely not. If so, then why is it acceptable for you to say it to yourself? Why is it so easy for you to be so unkind to yourself? Secondly, when I asked myself, Kelezo, are you going to spend the rest of your life feeling worthless, broken, and ashamed? Are you going to settle for a life that's below what God has purposed for you? Are you choosing to live, or will you just continue being alive? As you reflect on these 2 questions, realize that you have no time to waste, that each moment of your life is precious, and you must decide to embrace it. This is how you can restore your self-worth. It starts with rediscovering your identity and your purpose. You need to realize that there is more to you than having children or attaining whatever it is that you seem to be failing at right now. Your worth is not determined by how you measure up against the expectations of the world, the expectations that the world has of you as a woman. And it's definitely not determined by your accomplishments. It is determined by God because He created you for a purpose. Your self-worth is thus derived from your identity and your purpose. And this is true for anything else. The value of something is derived from who created it, from who owns it. The owner adds value to even the most common things. When you see a bag, a handbag, you don't know what it's worth just by looking at it. But if you see that it's a Chanel Pearl Clutch or a Tom Ford or a Louis Vuitton, then you know how much it's worth. You understand its value. The same is with you. If you do not know whose you are and which label you carry, if you do not know in whose likeness you are created, devaluing yourself becomes inevitable. But as soon as you realize that your Father is the omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent God, you will then realize how valuable you are. Not because of anything that you have done or anything that you have accomplished, but because you belong to God and you are made in His image. Therefore, no one else and nothing else has the authority to give you value except the one who created you. In rediscovering your true identity and your purpose, you need to search the scriptures in order to see who God says you are and why He created you. Some of the truths that I found when I was searching the scriptures is that I'm a child of God, that I'm created in the image of God, that I'm a carrier of God's presence, that I am chosen, I'm a royal priest, and I belong to God, and that nothing could separate me from the love of God. I realized that I was precious because I was bought at a price. Regarding my purpose, I realized that I was created for a purpose, and I was created to love God with all my heart. I was created to love my neighbor, to make disciples, and to teach. I was created for good things that God had planned for me. I was created to share with those who are in need and to equip people. When I realized these truths and I reflected on them, I realized, however, if my identity is in Christ and I can find my purpose in God, the same applies to all children of God who are like me. I wondered then, what makes me unique? What makes me special? What makes me unlike anyone else? As human beings, we are told that no two humans have the same fingerprint, not even identical twins. Inspired by this fact, I then created my identity and purpose framework, which I call PRINT. What does PRINT stand for? The P is purpose, principles, and values. The R is for relations and experiences. The I is for your interest and your passions. The N, your natural abilities and gifts. And the T, your temperament and your personality. Due to time limitations, I cannot share in details on these, but I do cover these extensively in my mentoring and coaching sessions. After going through my rediscovery process and getting better at understanding my pain from loss, I accepted who I was. My self-worth was restored, and I gave God lordship over my life. Some things that began to happen when I reached this point of total surrender included me leaving my corporate career and joining my husband in business full-time in our creative agency, The South Africanist. I also started to serve with my husband on a full-time basis on our nonprofit company, which is The South Africanist. I was then also commissioned to pastor at a local church. I also enrolled for a Master of Theology degree. And I also founded the Sister K Foundation, which is a nonprofit company. Through the Sister K Foundation, I inspire women to embrace their true identity and to live purposefully. The Sister K Foundation is a sisterhood which aims to equip women to discover their true identity and their purpose in order to live their best lives. I will share the link to my Facebook page if you need more details on the sisterhood. When I'm asked how I manage to overcome obstacles and have peace irrespective of the challenges that I'm facing, my answer is simple. Having a sense of purpose propels me to get up and live to the fullest, even when there is nothing seemingly apparent that is a reason to do so. I can honestly say that having and knowing my purpose is what pushed me through the most difficult 2 years of my life, and the reason why I still have so much fight in me.